Okay, welcome everyone. As you can notice, this talk will be in English. I hope that's okay. So welcome to this talk. We're watching you. I'd like to start with a quick intro. So this is me, and I'm the co-founder and CTO at Jahia. By the way, this was on my honeymoon in Japan. I'm an Apache committer. I have a mobile app in the store with 1.2 million downloads. I'm very interested in user experience in general. I'm a coder at heart. I started at 7 years old. And I have over 17 years of web development experience. I'd also like to quickly introduce Jahia. So Jahia's code base started in 1999. The company was created in 2001. And originally, we built a web CMS. What was unique about it is what was called at the time WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. And nowadays is referenced to as in-context editing. So it looks something like this. And now we're delivering tools to accelerate customer experience agility. So we have a collection of products. I'll start at the bottom. So we have our main platform, the Digital Experience Manager, and on the right, the Apache Unomi. So these are our foundations. On top of these, we have products that are built on top of that, such as Workspace Factory for collaboration, Portal for integration, Form Factory for managing forms quickly, the Studio, which is quite unique, which is really a dev environment, making it very easy to be very productive. And finally, on top of all that, the private app store, which makes it easy for deployments to stay in-house and not necessarily go outside publicly. And last but not least, the Marketing Factory, which is built on top of both platforms and that you will probably learn about a little bit more. I won't stay long on this slide, but this is an example of some of our clients. So you might not be familiar with us, but you're familiar with most of these, I'm pretty sure. So I'd like to get to the gist of it, the problems. What are the problems today in terms of what we're here for in terms of being watched? So first, there's tracking. So when you think about tracking on the web or on mobile applications, you think of this. Well, actually, this looks like a lot of very nice cookies, but most of the cookies we are dealing with are kind of obscure. So the immediate reaction is, do not track me. And actually, if you start learning about do not track and you Google it, it'll be really funny because this is what you'll find first. This is from donottrack.com, and it says, guess what? Do not track is tracking you, and we use cookies to do so. So thank you very much. We're being tracked anyway. But a reality check is that tracking is not always bad. There are some cases where you can really improve the customer experience by doing some tracking. But it could be done in a bad way also. And this is a real life example you'll see when you involve third parties, meaning that you're tracking your users, but you're actually doing it through third parties. So let's look at CNN.com. So this is their website. And this is the amount of trackers that they have on their public website. So there's 66 systems that are tracking a single user at any point in time. So how do you guarantee privacy with this? How do you make sure that the data is not flowing everywhere and being completely misused? Another big aspect is security. Now that you're doing a lot more tracking and all these big data systems are in place, you need to wonder about security a lot more because you're potentially using data that's very personal. So we can look at security through layers. These are, let's say, the usual layers, although the last one is kind of unique. So first, the user layer. Well, users, they don't know much about technical privacy. And frankly, they don't care. They will probably be manipulated in some way or another. Because basically they don't know about these things and they don't care. So they'll be an easy target. If we look at the application layer, they can be compromised. They can be hacked. They could also be old. They could be a lot of legacy systems out there like Windows 7, which is now legacy, And so if you're not updated, they're good targets. Of course, also, viruses or keyloggers might intercept the data. If we look at the operating system, it could be compromised. So again, it's easier if it's not up to date. But it could also be part of the problem. And you've all heard about Windows 10, which, using its default settings, is actually sending what you type on the keyboard back to Microsoft. They have a good use case for that because they want to build better dictionaries and try to build better suggestions, but you don't know about it. They're actually, I mean, before people blew this up in the news, you didn't know they were doing that. In terms of the network, so if you look at, for example, I'm not going to talk about all the network problems, but a very good one, I think, is you're looking for a network. And what could happen is that you end up on false open Wi-Fi networks. These could look like this, like free airport or a lobby. And actually what it is, it's a single person distributing as a hotspot their computer and relaying all the data to internet, meaning that they're intercepting all the traffic. So there's absolutely no way for you to actually know if this is happening or not, but it's a very easy way for hackers to hack any data that you're trying to access or use. Now, if you look at the server layer, well, servers now are more and more in the cloud. Is the cloud actually safe? One of the problems is that hackers like centralized public and visible targets. And so if you look at this graph, I'm trying to illustrate the difference between an easy and a harder target. Because basically, if it's centralized, it's much easier for a hacker to come in and target just this single system or cluster of systems. If it's distributed, it's much harder to do that. And unfortunately, I had too many examples, so I had to choose my favorites. But LastPass, which is a service that actually is a cloud service where you store your passwords, got hacked. And basically, lifehacker.com said, bad news first, folks. LastPass, our favorite password manager, and yours has been hacked. It's time to change your master password. So this is I'm trying to illustrate that even though there are people that are really good in cloud services trying to deliver very secure systems, you're still at risk. This could still happen. And last but not least, is server administrators. So server administrators are considered critical to system security, but even the best could get hacked. And one of the best ways to hack a system or a system administrator is through social engineering. Just a show of hands, how many people are familiar with social engineering? Okay, well, that's good. So you've probably heard of Kevin Mitnick. He was previously America's most wanted computer outlaw and is now a security consultant. And when he was asked what is the hacking activity he's most proud of, he said, his intrusion into Motorola, I was able to call an employee at Motorola and convince her to send me the code for the MicroTac ultralight cell phone. Motorola had their whole campus protected by secure ID, and I was able to use an elaborate social engineering scheme by also manipulating the telephone network and set up callback numbers within Motorola's campus. So I convinced a manager in operations to tell one of the employees to read off his RSA secure ID code anytime I needed it so I could access the network remotely. So basically, secure ID, one-time codes, completely compromised. So the cloud is not necessarily safer. Nothing is really safer. So as a company, you need to keep control of data. You need to keep the trust of your customers. And one of the biggest trends is you need to respect privacy, including the laws. There's more and more laws being introduced to respect privacy. Of course, what you want is to improve the customer experience and make it a lot better than your competition. But this is also going to be harder to do with cloud services. And just to give you an example, I'll take a mobile application, a native mobile application, and into it, I want to add app analytics. So I'll choose, one of them, like Flurry, that's owned by Yahoo, Google, or Apple, that has its own app analytics system now. And basically, what I'll end up doing it is all the precious data that my customers are exposing through their behavior, I'm sending to them. I'm not keeping to myself. I'm directly sending it to them. So basically, the largest web companies, these are the largest web companies you're sending the data to, and you end up having no real control over the data. They will give you reports, but basically, you're limited to what they will give you. So actually what happens is that they get more value out of it than you do. The other problem is that every company gets the same analytics systems at the same time. So that makes it more difficult to compete on customer experience because you don't really have more insight if you're using these large systems on the cloud. So that's sort of an overview of some of the problems. Now, I'd like to talk about the solutions, and I'll talk quickly about security first. So if you look at the problem of user security, well, usually the best thing is through training. You want to make sure that everybody knows what they should do and what they shouldn't do. You can add software to it, but without training, it's really useless. On the application layer, updates need to be set up and in place. Security tools such as anti-malware or firewalls are, common practice nowadays. So those are not a problem. For the operating system, you need to review all the default settings and make installs minimal, because do you really need Solitaire on your desktop? Not necessarily. For the network, of course, this is becoming the biggest common trend is standardizing on HTTPS. Actually, the latest versions of iOS will block HTTP by default for developers, so you need that. Secure VPNs are also a common practice, especially if you're working remotely. For servers, and here I mean really for the software running on servers, it's a very good idea to use publicly available infrastructure software. And so this could be either proprietary software, or it could be open source solutions which have the added benefit of being transparent and very tested. And of course, agile tools and technologies will make it easier to deploy quickly if we're looking at, for example, container technologies and such. On the server administration part, well, one of the best ways to do this, and I think it's not being done enough actually, is penetration testing. Just to come back to Kevin Mitnick's company, they have 100% success rate at penetration testing. And this is probably the best known security company in the world, used by everybody ranging from the FBI to the NSA and stuff like 100%. So, I think that settles it. In terms of tracking, now, this is really the center part of what I want to talk about. We looked at this, and we tried to figure out, are there any tracking standards? Is there anything common that we can use? So at the W3C, they have something called tracking preference expressions. These are browser-side. So this is a browser-side technology. And most browsers have basic support for it. They basically say, OK, track me or do not track me, but that's it. So it's really on-off. And it's really too extreme. Actually, I was talking to one of the guys who is in charge of this, and he said, I'm really eager to finish it because it's useless. So, Roy Fielding, by the way. In terms of server, there's very limited support. And finally, it doesn't work in mobile applications. Another standard is called W3C Customer Experience Digital Data. And so this one defines client-side JavaScript objects. And they look like this. So it's called digital data, and basically it exposes information about the page. I don't have enough room, but there's also like the user profile and thing. So again, this is browser only, since it's a JavaScript object. And so it's not easy to work with this when you're trying to communicate between servers. So you're trying to move context information about the current request from server to a server. That's not going to happen. Last but not least, we ended up looking at data management platforms. And this seemed partly relevant. There are some implementations. There's none that's open source. And there's, again, no standard. So we didn't find what we needed. And so we decided to start it ourselves. So I'd like to introduce a mouthful, the OASIS ConteXt Server Technical Committee. So that's a standard body defining a best standard. And the idea is to turn this. So this is basically a system where you have all these different systems in an enterprise that know something about the users, but they all know something different about them. And the idea is to turn it into this, where basically every system knows about the same user and can interact with the system. So it's an API that's easy to use, easy to integrate, that's just HTTPS and JSON. Nothing more, nothing less. And that has a reference implementation that's called Apache Unomi. So that's actually been submitted to the Apache Foundation. So if we look at how this fits into the picture, so basically you have all the systems that we had before, and they can all use Unomi as a tracking system to personalize the experience. So for example, you could add tracking to an issue tracking system, saying, okay, I want to see how people are using this, or what benefits they could get out of it. You could push events saying that you want to understand which users have the most problems in the issue tracking, which means they're probably frustrated, and deliver a different web experience to them or a mobile experience to them. So by integrating all these systems through the standard and the Unomi platform, you could build user experiences that are much more personalized. If we look at the technical part of things, so basically, Unomi is receiving events as input and delivers a context. And the context is basically information about the user, what we know about him, and what we want to track. Now, on the other side of the frame is big data frameworks, because Unomi acts very well as a front end to big data. Because you could just say, okay, I'm sending these events into Unomi, but then I want to relay them to a cluster of big data technologies. And in the middle, there's technologies such as rules, segments, and of course the profiles. I won't go into too much details there, but that's really sort of the heart of the system. Now, what's interesting is that you can deploy this in the cloud, of course, but you can also deploy it on-premise. So what this means is that you can have deployments like this, where you have clusters of context servers that are connected to other systems like a CMS or big data systems, or social networks, CRMs, issue tracking. And finally, you and your customers are in control because you have no need for third parties. And you also have something that's kind of unique. You can suddenly, and this is very early into the process, we're still discussing it both on the standard and in the implementation, but you can finally have real privacy management, which means as an end user, you can say, okay, I want to know what's tracking me, what kind of system is tracking me. Oh, I see it's Apache Unomi. I want to anonymize on the server, not on the client, the data. I'm okay with you tracking my downloads, but I'm not okay with you tracking the pages I'm looking at. You can filter down and say, okay, this is what. And finally, you have that big red button that says, okay, I'm sick of this. Delete the data that you have server-side. So this is not mandatory. This is something you could offer or not to the customers, but this is now possible. So how does this work? So basically, you have a browser, let's say a system like a content management system, a web content management system, and a context server, such as Unomi. So basically, you load a page, you get information about the context server, you ask the context server the context, so you get information about the user. This could be how many times he's come or what is, and then you can start sending events to the context server. So what does this server offer out of the box? So it offers user tracking, privacy management, reporting, profile data, A/B testing, impersonification, meaning you can act as groups of users, download tracking, form input tracking, segmentation, goal tracking and scoring, and of course event tracking. So all this you get out of the box just by installing Apache Unomi. Are there any commercial applications? Well, I guess this is something that's not a surprise. I talked about Marketing Factory. Basically, Marketing Factory is a UI that's built on top of Apache Unomi. So it's a just Angular UI that's built on top of Apache Unomi, and we just call the REST services. So all that you see here, all this front end and all these things, these are, of course, integrated with our other products, but if you look at the core technology, it's something that you could build yourself. So you can build your own, and that's the beauty of the Apache license. So if you want to build your own integrations, build your own extensions to Unomi, that's fine, and we will more than welcome it. So now I'm going to take some risks. And by risks, I mean big risks, trust me. This demonstration and rehearsal has worked once. So we'll see. Basically, the idea of it is to improve the shopping experience. You'll see what I mean. And it's an example of how to transition from a brick and mortar, meaning a physical shop, to an online system. For this, we're going to be using beacons. I have some here. And these are great for indoor positioning. So you can, for example, if you have a floor map here, this is a little bit small, but you can see that there are some beacons there. And they're all positioned at different aisles or at the entrance or even in the parking lot. And basically, what we'll do is that we'll try to look at a scenario where we're tracking somebody that's entering the shop first, then going into the soda aisle, and then going to the alcohol aisle. And in the alcohol aisle, there's digital signage. So this is a TV that's just running an ad, or multiple ads, and saying, these are the products that you should buy. Now, well, the important thing is that in this scenario, what you need to remember is that we're not tracking purchases. At this point, the person has not bought anything. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. So just as context, basically this involves a native mobile application that's connected to the Apple push notification service, the beacons that are there, all your Wi-Fi, let's say radio signals, and 2 other servers all running on this computer. So if everything works, I'll be happy, but we'll see. So let's move things in so you can see them. So I'm going to put it here. So this is my phone running a native mobile application. And let me reset that. And what's that? Oh, sorry. Now what we need also is the simulator. Here we have it. So this simulator is actually the Apple TV simulator. So you have to imagine that we're in the shop and that we have this TV that's running an ad. So I'll start the ad. I lost my mouse. There we go. Yeah, here we go. So this is just a beer commercial, actually. And okay, so now what we're going to do is go back to the mobile application. And basically, the mobile application, what it has here, you can barely see it at the bottom of the screen. Let me just try to get back to this. Let me try to move it up a little bit. Yeah, here. So you see, you have all these different buttons down here. And so this is a mobile application that's connected to a backend that shows content from the backend. And then what's unique is that I have it here connected to the context server, and I have a privacy, just as the same way you saw the privacy screen on the web, you now see the privacy screen on the mobile application, where I could say I want to delete the profile, anonymize the data, or reset the interest. So, okay, now what we're going to do is that I'm going to simulate the scenario. So this is the enter shop beacon that I'm just going to put next to the phone. So you have to imagine that I'm walking into it. So you can see here a little bar, and you see the Acme shop value. It's very small, but it's increasing. So basically, what's happening in the profile, I'm actually increasing an interest of the user based on how long I stayed next to a beacon. Okay, that should be long enough. Now I'm going to go into the soda aisle, meaning that I'm going to spend some time looking at drinks. And so at the same time, all Unomi in the back end is actually receiving all this information and transforming it into user interests. So I'm just going to wait a little bit more. Okay, so I had it set up for 10 seconds in each location. Okay, that should be enough. And finally, and here you'll see the interest graph, which makes more sense when it has 3 values. Yep. Okay, and I think, yeah, there we go. So it says, hello, Serge, don't carry your drinks to Geneva. You can have them delivered to your home instead. Check your phone now for more information. Unfortunately here, one thing had to fail, so it did. But I should see a notification on my phone that says, click here to view more information. But this is the least reliable part because it requires push to the Apple servers on the sandbox and send it back to me and in my test. But basically, here I would just get a link to a page that would say, okay, you can order your drinks and have them delivered directly to your home. So that didn't fail too much, but and now the thing is that I can just say, okay, I'm this user on this phone, and I've seen, that I've been tracked to all this, so I just say, here, reset the interests, and it's gone. So my interests are deleted from the server. There's nothing there anymore. I could also delete the full profile, but to be honest, this is not fully implemented yet because it's still very early. Okay, now let's go back to the slides. So how does this work? So basically, we have a beacon, we have a native mobile application, and then we have the Unomi ConteXt Server, or the content server, in this case, Jahia Digital Experience, which was called Digital Factory before. I'm sorry, I need to update that. And a push notification service. On the digital signage part, we have the Unomi ConteXt Server that's pushing to the Apple TV, meaning that just because this person is sitting next to this TV, suddenly they're going to have this magical thing happening to them that something that's in front of them knows about them. So honestly, if this gets implemented one day, it'll be really freaking people out. Now, the biggest thing to remember, and this actually is true because it failed, is that no data left this room, except, of course, for the push to the Apple servers. But I've done all the tracking in-house. I did not send data to Google. I did not send data to Apple. Nothing. So the nice thing is you have a choice now. You don't necessarily have to go to cloud services. Okay, so this brings me actually even earlier than I expected to the closing of this presentation. And I'd like to open the floor to questions, as we do have a little bit of time. No, but that's really left up to whoever is doing the implementation. So I'm not sure if I should repeat the question, but I'll do it anyway. So the question was, if multiple stores need to implement this, do they need to all have separate applications? And does that sums it up? It's really up to how you want to do it, and we're also expecting that, hoping that people will start offering Unomi as a software as a service also. Because there's nothing preventing even Google from saying, okay, well, let's just deploy Apache Unomi as a software as a service, and then you can just use it. One of the things I didn't talk about in Unomi, and this is also part of the standard, is you can have, how do you call this? Different repositories on the same server. So you can choose to, you can really pick and choose. In the demonstration I did here, I could also show you the web platform that's using the exact same thing. So you don't have to install multiple applications, and you can choose how you want to do it. So it's really I mean, let's say, yeah, one of the ways to look at it is you have a choice. You don't necessarily have to go to a centralized platform, but you could also deploy it as a centralized platform. That's really possible. Any other questions? Okay, well, this went fast. So I like to close with a quick remember, we're watching you, or not. So this is really early. This is really what we're working on now. And I mean, I talked about my company. When we started this effort, we did not want to do it. We were hoping that people were already doing it and that we could join this effort. But actually, this is the state we're in. There's nothing being done. So if you're interested, and I hope some of you are, we would really welcome anybody that's interested in deploying this, playing with it. So I'd like to thank all of you. And I'd like to leave you with a page of resources. I'd also like to plug our booth. It's booth number 37. So feel free to come by and talk to us, or tell me, how well I put you to sleep during my presentation or anything. But anyway, thank you very much.